Hey guys, how's it going? All right, a little clip from MSNBC with Chris Matthews talking. He's also got one of his little co-hosts with him, and she is adamant, just as he is, about gun control. But I really like this one because they are really trying to make anyone who believes in the Second Amendment come across as a Looney Tunes, and this is what his plan is. And I believe MSNBC and CNN and the rest of them are trying to do this, and they're trying to divide gun owners because the old adage, divide and conquer. Well, now they're trying to divide gun owners, which is fine. That's a perfectly legitimate target in a situation like this because they are propaganda tools. They obviously, this is not a news article, or they're not talking about news. This is just propaganda, somebody trying to push their opinion, and this particular opinion happens to be anti-Second Amendment and anti-Constitution. I wanted to talk about it. I'm going to cut it this clip a little bit, so we're just going to talk about a little piece of it.
Tonight with this, paranoid America is climbing out of its bunker. The near possibility that the Obama administration might stop the easy sale of the scariest guns to the scariest people has aroused the slippery slope crowd. These cousins of the grassy knoll folks believe that any limit on the wide-open market for guns and ammo threatens their own hardware. Any reasonable action by the American people to stop the carnage is, to these paranoids, the first unfaltering step toward mass confiscation of everything from shotguns to daisy rifles. Well, tonight, we let you hear from the craziest of the crazies. Mike.
So there you go. Chris Matthews arguing that anyone who is nervous about the government talking about gun control is a crazy person. So he's going to show a few people.
Question: are the regular gun owners of this country, the people who go out and hunt in hunting season, the people who shoot skeet, or simply like to pack their own bullets, regular gun enthusiasts, are they going to listen to these nutcases or to Joe Biden when he offers proposals next?
Well, there you go. There is the division. He's trying to divide the American people, at least the gun owners. So he knows that there's, the American people are already divided. You got about half the people that own guns, maybe more. And then you've got, of the gun owners, you've got people who disagree with the NRA and think that guns are only for entertainment purposes, hunting, skeet shooting, and these other things, sports related, or whatever the left wing says is okay for now. Because they know that those gun owners, most of those people, don't care about semi-automatic weapons with a 30 bullet capacity. So he's thinking maybe we can divide these people out and burn them off, cook them off. Well, he doesn't realize that the majority of those people don't watch his show. In fact, I don't think any real gun owners would sit through one of these shows. Most people just flip them. The only reason I have it on is because I'm talking about it. There's just so much out there to talk about, and it's this clip alone. I'm not going to be able to watch the whole thing, but it's amazing how much material they've set out there for us.
Week on background checks and high-capacity magazines. Who are the people that are going to decide this issue? I mean the gun owners going to go with the Wild Bunch or the Town Posse? David Corn is Washington Bureau Chief for Mother Jones, and Joy Reid is Managing Editor of The Griot. Both are MSNBC political analysts. Joy, your bet. Who do the regular gun owners, the reasonable guys, Pennsylvania-type guys in many cases, who go out and shoot when they're supposed to shoot, practice shooting and get good at it with a couple shots, that's all you get with a deer, are they going to go with the nuts?
You know what, Chris? I mean, I grew up.
Well, there you go. He just said it again, and he's dividing out the hunters because the hunters have a limited capacity. They're not, when you're hunting, the law requires that you have a smaller capacity to make it more sporting. I don't see how that's more sporting. I mean, when you can sit 150, 200 yards away in the bushes in a camouflaged tree hanger, one shot's more than sufficient to take out a deer. But that's not what the Second Amendment's about. It's almost like these people want other people to either not understand or just forget the fact that the Second Amendment has nothing to do with hunting or even self-defense against a criminal. Although that is part of it now. It's just the idea that everybody is part of the militia. That's why the word militia is in the Second Amendment, because everybody is part of the militia. Just over time, people were dumbed down. See, we have these public schools that insist on dumbing the children down, and they only teach them things that are approved by the federal government.
In Colorado, I grew up around people who were military, people who were ex-military, people who hunted. You know, Colorado's a big hunting state. And I don't think anyone that I've ever met that is a responsible gun owner can side with these, you know, for lack of a better word, these Looney Tunes who are out.
There she is, calling them crazies because they disagree with her. Everybody that disagrees with her or Chris Matthews is a Looney Tunes, is a crazy, is a nutcase, is a freak, is out of the world nuts. Yeah, that's right. But, you know, if somebody gets a little hyper like Alex Jones and starts getting angry about people trying to take away his rights, then he's a Looney Tunes. These guys are just they're out of control. I mean, children act better than that.
Here, because they're doing something different. They're stockpiling. They're getting assault rifles. These are not normal gun owners. What you're hearing from now is the absolute fringe.
Oh, you mean like the militia? You mean like the way the Constitution set it up so that people would have sufficient arms and ammo to protect themselves and their community and the state from an invasion, regardless of who is causing the invasion. That's why they had it. That was the whole plan. The states were very suspicious of a federal government before the Constitution was signed. And now we are starting to see why they were so suspicious and why they were so concerned. That's why they put the Second Amendment in there, to make sure. They wanted people to understand that there is no way you can take away people's right to defend themselves from the government and from foreign invasion. In case the federal government is unable to protect us from an invasion, for some reason, these people on the left really want us to be unarmed and be out of power. Maybe they know something we don't know. I can't tell you.
Unfortunately, they're being allowed to speak for the pro-Second Amendment crowd.
So the people that are speaking for this pro-Second Amendment crowd are the people who believe that guns are for protecting us from a government that's gone bad. And that upsets her. She thinks that the people that should be speaking for the Second Amendment are hunters and people that go target practicing, gun enthusiasts. But these crazy people that want to protect themselves from a rogue government, they are out of control, they are crazy, and something needs to be done about them. Well, in a way, they are paving, this lady and Chris Matthews are paving the road to tyranny. And it is treasonous to, in my personal view, anybody that would suggest the American people should not be armed sufficiently to repel either an external or internal invasion or any kind of attack on our Constitution, these people are a problem, because the whole idea is to protect the Constitution. Everybody that takes an oath in our government takes an oath to defend the Constitution. So the fact that there are people in our government that are trying to attack our Constitution is a real problem. And that's why that's why these people that are getting angry are saying things that we otherwise wouldn't expect in a civilized society, because we are civilized people. We don't want to have anyone hurt ever. We want to help people, even people that disagree with us. I mean, if you see somebody on the side of the road with their car broke down, you don't go over there and say, are you a Republican or a Democrat? Are you liberal or conservative? I need to know these things before I help you. Somebody's laying on the road dying, and you have the opportunity to save their life, or maybe they're choking in a restaurant. Oh, no, we can't help you. You look like you might be a Republican or a Democrat or whatever you happen to not like. It's ridiculous. But all the people. If you want to have a division, if you want to divide, let's divide the people from the government. Let's separate the two. Let's make sure that all the people, whether you believe in gun rights or not, whether you are conservative or liberal, whether you believe in abortion or not, whatever side you're on, you've got to be on the side of the people, and that's what matters.
David, we're going to show the worst of the worst in a minute, but first, your thoughts. Will they go with the regular gun owners, the people that are in the NRA in Pennsylvania, and they vote Democrat or Republican? Are they going to go with the crazies like James Yeager? We're going to show him and Alex Jones again.
What's crucial to this is what Clinton did back in '94. Remember, he got an assault weapons ban through Congress over the NRA opposition.
Yeah, what he doesn't want to tell you is he got it through a Democratic Congress. Both the House and the Senate were Democrats at the time.
Of many Republicans and some Democrats. And the way
and that's why he lost the House right after that. All the Democrats even jumped ship. We saw this huge influx of Democrats moving to the Republican side over a gun issue. So, maybe he's got something in mind. Maybe he thinks that the Republicans need to be in power. He knows that this will work.
It was by bringing the cops, the police,
but
the
how
public
many seats
safety.
did he lose over that?
Well, they lost a lot of seats, so you got to keep the fight going after you win. So the way to get people to side with responsible gun control, gun violence prevention, is to make this a wide coalition to show them that, hey, you're with people who like to shoot, you're with people who care, like cops. It's not just liberal Dems.
I agree.
So
that's how they're going to do it. They're going to get all these groups together, these wannabe, they want power. So the president goes to these little groups and says, listen, support me on these things, and I'll stand up for you. I'll be there for you. Here, I'll even give you a plaque with my signature on it. Maybe I'll even let you come to the White House for dinner one night. So it's all a buy-off. We get all these mayors, we get these police chiefs, we get all these groups together, all these little things that we can do. Even make up some groups, create some new groups while we're at it. Why not? And that'll give all these people that are kind of struggling with the thought that the government wants to take some guns or the power of some guns, or register people, or have a list of all the people that have guns, because that's what they want, so that when the time comes and they're ready to take guns, they can just go around and gather them. And they've already got plenty of information on that, I'm sure. But what's funny is they think that a lot of people have guns because of what they say. Like, I know there's a lot of people on the internet that talk about their guns or that are pro-gun, but they don't have any guns. Or if they do, they just have one or two. Usually just, a lot of people just have a revolver, a 6-shooter. And they're pro-gun and they're pro-Second Amendment, and they like the thought that their neighbors or their cousins or aunts or uncle, whoever out there, have guns. They like that. They like that they have AR-15s with 30 bullet magazines. They like that. I certainly do. I'm not heavily armed. I don't stockpile weapons and bullets because I'm not that concerned. I know there are people out there that have plenty, and there are enough people just in my area that are definitely sufficiently supplied, and that's what the government's going after. They want to get those people. And if they do get those people, then we're all in a lot more precarious situation. Because what's a guy going to do with 50 guns? Think about it. What's one guy going to do with 50 guns? You might be able to set up 5 or even 10 guns in your area so that you don't have to reload. You just grab another one. But usually somebody has 50 guns because they want to have support, backup. They want people there that don't have guns to come to them and be their, eyes and ears to the backside. So that's why people have lots of guns if they want to. And it's really none of the government's business how many guns you have, how many bullets your magazines can hold. It's just none of their business. And like I've said before, if anything, the federal government is overpowered right now. It's too much. They have too much firepower against the people. Even though we have, 300 million people with 300 million guns, it would be a terrible battle if it came down to that.
key here as we go forward.
Okay, well, the Raw Story website got a hold of this threatening video from this fella I mentioned, James Yeager. He's CEO of a group called Tactical Response, and he's pledging actual violence as a result of the White House action on gun safety. Take a listen.
On gun safety? I thought we were talking about gun control. Oh, that's right. They vowed not to use that anymore. They use the word gun safety. And gun safety would be like, keeping your gun clean, putting it in a secure place where the kids can't get to it, stuff like that. Learning how not to point it in an unsafe direction. Is that what they're talking about? No.
I'm telling you that if that happens, it's going to spark a civil war, and I'll be glad to fire the first shot.
So they cut off what he says in the beginning, and all week we cut right in, and he says, if that happens, if what happens? I have no idea. I didn't get the whole clip. I just got this little piece. If that happens, if what happens? Well, I'm assuming if he's talking about shooting, he must be talking about, if that happens, probably something along the lines of, he must have said, I'm assuming, he said something like, if they try to take away our guns or something like that. And surely the majority of people would have to agree, because that would be against the Constitution, and we're all here to protect the Constitution. And all of the people that have guns in the military have sworn an oath to protect the Constitution. All the police, everybody that has a uniform and a gun has sworn an oath. And it's not to the president, it's not to the police department, it's to the Constitution, which is the people's document. It's our leash on the government. So when the government starts stepping out of its bounds, whenever the dog starts biting the owner, the military and the police are bound by the Constitution to defend the people, not the government.
I'm not putting up with it. You shouldn't put up with it. And I need all you patriots to start thinking about what you're going to do. Load your damn mags, make sure your rifle's clean, pack a backpack with some food in it, and get ready to fight. I'm not putting up with this. I am not letting my country be ruled by a dictator.
So there's what he's talking about. He's talking about, apparently, like I said, I'm hearing this with you guys. He's talking about a dictatorship. So he's saying, if there's a dictatorship, I'm fighting. So that really bugs Chris Matthews. How dare this guy suggest that he's going to fight dictatorship? Hello? This is America. This isn't Germany, It might have happened in Germany, but it ain't happening here. The Germans gave up their guns, and right after they did, guess what happened? So anytime a government starts talking about gun confiscation, it's the precursor to tyranny. So that's the only reason there's an issue. I mean, the guy got elected. You get elected, but during the election, there was no discussion of gun control. There were other shootings in the past. Why, if he had plans on doing all of these things, and it's true that he did, because all these laws that they're preparing, they've already been prepared. This is all old stuff. So surely we're not talking about a single shooting here or there. I mean, even if it were 100 kids or even 1,000 kids, it wouldn't make any difference. We don't change our rights.
Not letting anybody take my guns. If it goes 1 inch further, I'm going to start killing people.
Well, you got that.
So there it is. That must have been the thing that they really didn't like, was he said it. He said if they want to take my guns and they go 1 inch further, then I'm going to start killing people. So what's he saying? Does that mean he's going to go through his neighborhood and just start shooting people randomly, or does that mean that he's going to start defending his Constitution? I don't know. I have no idea what's in his mind, because I don't know the guy. I haven't even seen his YouTube videos yet. I don't know. I'll probably go take a look, because I'd like to see the whole thing and really get a feel for what he was saying. Nobody wants to shoot anybody. I'm sure the founders didn't want to shoot anybody, but they did. And the people that they shot were legitimate government at the time. And our founders, the people that we look up to today, were the terrorists of the of the day, according to the Crown, the people who thought that they were in charge. They felt they had the legitimate government, and they were turned over. They found out that no, the people have the power, and now that's legitimate and that's locked in. I know England would love to return that. That's why Piers Morgan is such a commenter. I love to talk about him too. All right.
And the paranoid on the fringe right, it all comes down to being anti-tyranny. Here was Alex Jones talking to Piers.
So there it is. He's telling us it comes down to being anti-tyranny. Hello, that's the whole idea of the Second Amendment. Obviously, he knows that. I mean, the guy's not an idiot. I would hope that he knows what the Second Amendment is about. And it has nothing to do about hunting or any of that stuff. But the fact that he's making it like these people that know the real history and know the actual facts of what the Second Amendment's about, they're the crazy people. But the people that just want to hold their guns for fun, no, they're the true Second Amendment. You know, either he's so misinformed that he's an idiot and he should not be on TV trying to teach people anything, or he's paving the road for tyranny. Somebody's given him the power, set him up with his own TV show, and he's leading the lemon. He's going to take these people right over the edge, and there's a lot of people that are just listening to him going, ooh, ah, ooh, he's just so smart. He doesn't have a clue.
Morgan earlier this week.
So we did it to point out that this is globalism, and the mega banks that control the planet and brag that they've taken over, in Bloomberg, AP, Reuters, you name it, brag that they're going to get our guns as well. They've taken everybody's guns but the Swiss and the American people. And when they get our guns, they can have their world tyranny while the government buys 1.6 billion bullets, armored vehicles, tanks, helicopters, Predator drones, armed, now in U.S. skies, being used to arrest people in North Dakota. The Second Amendment isn't there for duck hunting. It's there to protect us from tyrannical government and street thugs.
And, you know, anybody who's ever studied the founders or the states, what the states believed about the Second Amendment and how each state included something that they felt should be the Second Amendment. In one of my videos, I did talk about that and showed all that. So if you want to go back, click on the little link for my videos, and you'll get a little taste of what the states had in mind when they were talking about the Second Amendment.
So what do you make of that, Joy?
I mean, this is crazy, Chris. I watched that video last night, the Yeager video, the first one, and I watched the Alex Jones interview this past week. These are not normal pro-Second Amendment people.
Well, that is interesting. These aren't normal Second Amendment people, she's telling us. They're all crazies because they believe that the Second Amendment is to protect us from a tyrannical government.
People. This is insanity. These are people who are essentially arming themselves and stockpiling arms, saying they have more than 50 arms in their house against some sort of tyrannical government invasion of their personal homes. This is basically the paranoiacs in American society.
So anybody who understands the Second Amendment and follows the Constitution and defends the Constitution is a paranoid freak, some sort of weirdo.
Brought forward and made to speak for ordinary gun owners. It's up to gun owners themselves to distance themselves from this craziness.
Well, maybe she doesn't realize it, but a lot of people who aren't gun owners believe in the Second Amendment. So you're trying to divide people. Well, the people without guns are divided. There's a whole bunch of people without guns that are absolutely adamant that the Second Amendment protect people's rights to have firearms. And most people today, are waking up to the facts of what the Second Amendment's about. And those people believe that the restrictions on certain firearms that are now illegal to have, unless you pay the BATFE their tax, is unconstitutional infringement on the right to bear arms. For example, sawed-off shotguns, fully automatic assault rifles, things like that. Anything that is military in nature should be accessible to the militia, because the word militia and military are the same root. The military is supposed to be restricted to times of war, and then they're supposed to be disbanded. And then the militia take over the protection of the government. We have the organized militia, and we have the unorganized militia. So everybody is part of the unorganized militia who is not part of the organized militia. So if you're part of the organized militia, you would be controlled by your state in the form of a National Guard. Unorganized would be all males between the ages of 18 and 45. And of course, everybody else is included. They're just not required to serve. The 18 to 45 group is required, but as our history is replete with examples of people in their 60s and even older, when they were physically able to defend their country, were doing it. And they didn't require the women, but you can bet they were out there shooting just as well.
Well, let's keep listening to this. I want to look. Here's one from the. I want to get all these in here tonight. Ted Nugent to WorldNet Daily. Let's take a look at this one. Here's what he said: there will come a time when the gun owners of America, the law-abiding gun owners of America, will be the Rosa Parks, and we will sit down in the front of the bus. Case closed. And this morning on CNN, the chairman or chair of the Gun Appreciation Day suggested slavery wouldn't have occurred if guns had been available to everyone in America at the time. Let's listen.
It's just the guy was just making the point that if the slaves had guns, who would be enslaving them? Nobody, obviously. And the point is, if you have guns, it's much harder to be enslaved. That was the point. But, how ridiculous.
This malarkey.
I think Martin Luther King would agree with me, if he were alive today, that if African Americans had been given the right to keep and bear arms from day one.
Well, like I said, it's ridiculous, and this guy's just making a point. I don't have a lot of time to run this tape real long, so I'm just going to go ahead and say, basically the whole idea of this argument is that the Second Amendment is history. You can take a look and read the history of it. That way you don't have to listen to Chris Matthews or these other people to find out exactly what it means. And then teach your children well. Teach them how to use their guns properly, safely, and what the Second Amendment's about. Just remind them that it's their duty to keep the state free, that they can't depend on the police or the military to stop the government from taking away their freedoms. And that Chris Matthews and his group, pretty much everybody in the left-wing media right now, are trying to make gun owners who support the Second Amendment for its true intention as crazies. They want people to think that these people are really out of the loop, out of crazy wackos, which means they're trying to divide people. They always do. That's what their whole job. That's all they do is they divide. And that's wonderful, but it's not going to be very effective. It used to be effective, but, today we have so many channels. Most people aren't watching you anymore, Chris Matthews. And the ones that do already agree with you. So all you're doing is preaching to the choir. And CNN needs to understand that their complete attack on the Second Amendment is definitely going to be an issue with the people at some point. At some point the people are going to stand up and say, hey, there's certain news agencies that want to limit the Second Amendment. And we're wondering, maybe we should limit their First Amendment. America owns the rights to these channels, and, the FCC gives them licenses, and maybe we'll just change that. Perhaps the people could rise up and say enough of the biased news, and we could require that if you consider yourself legitimate news and that you are a news channel, that you provide honest news that is straightforward and not your bias and your left-wing agenda, utopia hoping ideas that nobody really cares about. Well, good talking to you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.